Chris Burford, Learning Lighting Courses. Welcome to our latest video. We're here in Chippenham shooting our intermediate course, which also includes in the afternoon a 1920s theme shoot with our lovely model Courtney. I hope you enjoy the video. Please have a look at our website, learninglighting.co.uk, and if you fancy one of our book courses, please show an interest and book if there's one there to book. We are going to be running various courses throughout this year, some of them in Wiltshire and some of them in the Reading area. So we'll hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like. So first of all, introductions. If you haven't met me before, I think there's one or two that haven't. Chris Burford, I'm running the course today. I'm a part-time consultant for Broncolor. Used to work with Broncolor for years and years and years, but then I wanted to retire. So I work 6 days a month as a consultant, which is lovely. I get my expenses paid, I get a day rate, and if I work any extra days, I get paid for that, and all my mileage and expenses. I do technical demonstrations, technical support, workshops, training, and advising. It's Swiss, it's hand built, it's beautiful, quality is fantastic. Most of you used it before, so you know how lovely it is. But it is expensive, and we don't make any doubt about that. Rolexes are expensive, you know. Swiss watches, Swiss clocks are all expensive, but they're bloody good. And that's what we work with. We work with absolute accuracy, colour, exposure and reliability, and they'll last for years and years and years. So that's the sales pitch over. Terry at the back here is my assistant. It's going to be my gopher, and he's going to look after people. If you've got any questions that I can't answer, he may be able to, because he knows a lot more other things than just lighting. My expertise is quite narrow in lighting, but Terry knows quite a bit about other stuff as well. And if we don't know the answer, we'll make one up. No, we'll find out for you. So that's Terry. So give him a shout if you need any help, if you need a chat about anything as well. The other most important person today, of course, is Courtney, our lovely model, who's agreed to come and do us. I'm very excited about the 1920s styling. We've got some nice props. If you've got any questions, anything I say that you don't understand, please stop me and ask. Really do that. It's important that you understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. Don't think you're asking silly questions. No such thing as a silly question. Only silly answers, which I'll try not to give. Okay, so the running order of today, I sent you all a timetable to give you an idea. So this morning we're going to be doing some little ideas to give you some thoughts and some ideas that you might put into your lighting yourself. Certain different ways of working with Softbox. People use lots of Softbox, but they generally just stick them up and whack right at people. But there are lots of things you can do with the Softbox that you may not have thought of. We're going to talk about the inverse square law. I know some of you have been on courses where I've done that before, but it's important that you understand it. And I'll go through it very carefully and you'll understand it very shortly. But we might need to use that this afternoon for the shoot. Now, the shoot this afternoon, you're going to get involved. I'm not going to do it all for you. We're going to discuss it, we're going to light it, we've got some props, we're going to do a setup, and we can change the lighting around if you've got an idea that you want to try with a different accessory or a different type of light or whatever. Your shoot this afternoon, I want you to shoot and go away with some portfolio pictures that you can have in your portfolio. I said to Courtney, don't worry too much, because most of them will probably be turned into black and white or sepia, because it's that sort of style. I've got a set of Lee filters here. I've only got a couple of adapters, but you can always hold them in front of the lens if you want to use them. I've got some nets and black nets and things like that if you want to do a bit of softening and so on. So and then we'll make the set, and then we'll decide how we're going to light it for the first shoot, and then we're going to give you the opportunity to change everything around. So softboxes we'll cover this morning, different techniques, and I normally do. Has anyone been on my advanced lighting course? Yeah, I know you have. You know everything. You may remember the 5 light setup for beauty. We're going to do that again today, and I'll show you how to do that, just to remind you, because it is pretty spectacular. For those of you who have not really experienced much of a softbox, this is a softbox. Okay, so you can see it's a box, hence softbox. But the soft bit is very misleading, because they're not always soft. They can be very hard light. When we talk about soft light and hard light, it's the softness of the shadows, the shadow edges. And you can compare that with the weather outside. On a hot sunny day, when you've got no clouds, one light source, tiny light source, we know the sun isn't tiny, it's massive, but it's such a long way away it becomes a tiny light source. So it gives very hard, high contrast light, very deep shadows, very sharp edges to the shadows as well, very sharp. When you have a cloudy day, when the whole sky becomes the light source, that gives a very soft, diffused light. And there's hardly any shadows, and if there are shadows, they've got very soft, diffused edges. They're not sharp, strong shadows. And that's what the issue is. When you've got a massive light source like the sun, but it's so far away, it becomes a tiny light source, it's still hard. And a softbox is can be quite a big softbox because you have loads of different sizes. Can be very close and therefore very big in relation to your subject. But when you move it away, it becomes smaller. And as you move it further and further and further away, it becomes harder and harder and harder. So softboxes are called softboxes, but they're only soft in certain conditions. Okay, so this is a little 60 by 60. Great for portraits, great for small still life. You can use it for a couple, but you need to use it a bit further back, of course, then that becomes a bit harder. So the beauty of a big softbox is that it's softer further away, because it's still quite big. But even a big softbox, if you pull it back far enough, it becomes harder, because you put it away. So, okay, so that's basically how a softbox works. Let's, just before we look at different ways of using the softbox, just think about this inverse square law, because I know it sounds a bit complicated and it sounds a bit technical, but it's actually really useful when you're taking pictures in a studio situation. Really useful to use. So, Courtney, can I borrow you? Can you come and sit on here? If you sit on there, great. Now, the distance between Courtney and the background is that much. 18 inches, is it? A foot, just over, maybe. If I have my softbox, and I know some of you can't see, but if I have my softbox about the same distance from there, okay, nice and soft because it's big, so it's a nice soft light. I'm not going to do anything on this side, it's going to be shaded this side. All I want you to do is to look at her face and the background. Right, so I've got set up at 100 ISO. My shutter speed is 125, which makes no difference to me because I'm using a camera with a leaf shutter, but you will have to use a shutter speed of less than 250 if you've got a standard DSLR, because otherwise it won't synchronise with the flash. Okay. .5. So let's just drop that down 5/10. So that's 11. Just a round figure, doesn't matter what it is, it's F11. Can I reach? Yeah. Told you it'd be shaded because we're only lighting one side. But look at the background. It's gone quite dark, hasn't it? Very dark. If I move that back and adjust it so it's back to F11, so it's now F4, one stop, 5, 6, another stop, F8, another stop, F11. So I'm back to F11, exactly the same as I was before. Apart from Steve, what's that going to, and Gareth probably, what's that going to do to the background? Lighter, darker? What do you reckon? Lighter. And you wouldn't tell me, apart from Steve and Gareth, you wouldn't tell me why it's lighter? Okay. The basic thing about the inverse square law let's put it even closer. I'm not going to fire it, don't worry. If my light source is a foot away from my subject, what it is, the inverse square law, the way light falls off as it travels further, if that's the correct exposure at a foot behind Courtney's head will be 2 stops less. And it's always the same. So if you double the distance, 2 stops, you lose 2 f-stops. Okay? So by the time the light gets to a foot behind her, it's 2 f-stops less than it was on her face. So when it goes even further back, it goes virtually black because it's so underexposed. If I have my light source 5 feet, it has to go 5 feet behind the subject before it's 2 stops less. So there's less fall off here, so the background goes lighter. Okay? If I then move my background on my model, so this distance was 5 foot, same as that distance, then it would be 2 stops down. It's very simple in that way. Inverse square law is quite complicated, but as for photography, it's very simple. So if you double the distance, you lose 2 f-stops. And that makes the difference between the light and dark background. So you can control your background density depending on how far the light is away from the background and how far the model is away from the background. Now, I would never shoot with somebody that close to the background. I would always leave at least 1 metre, 1.5 meters, 2 meters if I can get it, because then I can control the background separately if I want to. Okay, so if you jump up for a sec. So if I have you here, so I've got all this space here to work with without any problems. You'll get that, all understand. So that's the type of lighting we're going to get with this 45-degree angle light. So we've got this side lit, and then we've got the nose in shadow and cheekbone shadow down here. We've got a little bit of light coming across the bridge of the nose, generally called Rembrandt lighting. And that's very standard. It's how most people use softboxes for portraits. Okay, but what else could we do? Just remember 6.2, will you? 6.2. I'm going to turn it up a bit so the modelling lamp's higher. Okay, so if we, first of all, if I just slide the softbox back, there's more softbox behind her than there is in front of her. Okay? So this is less lit less. And the light is coming more around the back of her, around here. So that's one way of controlling how far the wraparound of light goes. If we slide it, do the other way, in the same plane, we can control the light even more. So we've got more wraparound here. The light comes further round, and it's less around here. Okay, so that's one thing. You don't have to have the model's head or the person's head right in the centre of the softbox, as most people do all the time. Think about just moving it in the same plane, backwards and forwards, to control how much wraparound that light's going to give. So we can always add a bit of reflection. For those of you who've not really done much portraiture here, with a single light, you don't have to have a fill light. We could use a reflector to reflect some of this light back into this side of her face. Great, thanks. Now, you don't have to buy purpose-built reflector panels. This is a Manfrotto pop-up, and it folds up and goes in the bag, so it's quite small. You can use a bit of white card. I was in the range the other day, and I bought 2 pieces of foam board, A2, I think they were A2, for about £3. White foam board, does the job perfectly, and it's cheap, and you throw them away when they get damaged. Or bit of board, stick some tin foil to one side, white on the other. You've got silver white. One side white, one side silver. God, these are filthy. Okay, so then we can add a reflector here to actually put a little bit more light. And the nice thing is we're not changing the exposure because there's no light, no extra light. It's one light source. So we're not adding light, we're just reflecting what's there. So just by popping that in, see the difference it makes? Okay. And obviously if we have it further back, that will make less difference. But we're lighting around the shoulder and the hair. So it won't make as much difference as when the light's further forward. So, your choice. What about if we do that? See what I mean about almost 180 degrees? The light is still hitting her, and the softbox is facing you, facing Stephen. Mad. And it's not only till we get there, till it starts dropping off. So the light angle from a softbox is always almost 180 degrees. So we can control that cheekbone light just by moving that slightly further forward. The only thing you've got to be careful of is reflection in your lens. Always use a lens hood. Don't ever forget a lens hood. If you haven't got one, buy one. Don't forget, you always take a light reading from the brightest point of the face, because you don't want that overexposed. You want the brightest point correctly exposed, and then the rest of it just falls into place. So in this state, the brightest point is going to be there. 11.1 hasn't changed. Yeah. Okay, probably silver side. Need a bit more and closer. That's better. Thank you. Sorry. So that softbox isn't actually looking at her at all. It's actually looking past her. But what we're doing, we're catching the edge of the light, which gives a beautiful effect around here. Obviously, with dark hair, she's disappearing into the background. That's another thing. But what we're looking at is the lighting on the face and shoulders here. Brings up the collarbone, brings up the lovely texture of the muscles on the shoulder and the neck, and brings up this beautiful lighting around here. And the catch light is a thin sliver of light down the side. You can always tell. If you don't want to know how a picture's been lit, always look in the eyes. You can see the reflection of the lights and where they are and so on. It's very easy to work out where they are. So then we can add other things to that, but that is a really quite a nice shot. Okay, so needs background, needs a hair light, needs a bit of light on this side, but the actual face is nicely lit. Okay, so this is called feathering, where you feather the light source. You can do it this way, you can do it that way. And if you're lighting from above, you can have the light source further back, or you can have it in front, and you just catch in that edge of the light as it hits the face. So don't think with a softbox you've just got to whack it straight on. You can use it in different ways. Beauty lighting is very popular. Obviously, they use it a lot for hair and makeup advertising shots, but it's extremely flattering, especially for female. You can use it for male subjects, but for female subjects it's very flattering, and it's a really simple way of working. But you can go crazy with it as well. Okay, so we have the light from above, looking down on the subject, which is the basic position for a beauty light, as we saw in one of those pictures very closely. So that's on. And the nice thing about this is we can control the power from the trigger. So the first thing I'm going to do, now when we're setting up lighting, you always start off with a key light, with a main light, key light, whatever you want to call it. One light is the main light. It's always one light is a main light. Then everything else works around it. So this is our main light, and brightest point is going to be here. Okay. So 4.9, f11.1, down 1. Okay, so that's our main key light, main light at f11. Now you can see that at the moment we're not flattering at all, because we've got this front light at the top here, we've got big black eyes, we've got nose shadow under here, all this we've lost, and all the hair we've lost as well. But that's our main light, and the exposure is pretty much correct. Okay? But horrible as it is. Now, if you wanted to do it cheaply, put a light up on a stand, do that, and then just pop a reflector. Ask your model to be very kind and hold it. Quite a lot. Okay, and obviously if you have a shiny reflector, because that one's very dull, we're starting to get this light under here, but we've still got these lovely cheekbones and so on and the light around here. And we're going to have this at quite a low power. We're shooting at f11, but I want this at quite a low power because it's only a very gentle fill. That's 16.8 at the moment. It's all right. Let's try one more. F4. So you can see that it's done all the fill under here, but it's at a very, very low level. Now, if we put both of them back on, course we've got to, I'll just ignore that other light, just shoot at f11 again. There we go. Okay, so we've got all this fill down here, but we've retained all this shadowing and modelling around here. We've still got quite dark eyes, so we need to move the light just a bit because you need to see the light reflected in the eye. There's no point in having black, dead eyes because they look awful. You've got to have a catch light in the eye. So we need to move this one further forward. And maybe down a bit. That's better. We've got catch lights. Okay. Because she's a dark-haired model or person, then she's disappearing into the background. So we've got to separate her from the background, okay? So what I'm going to do is put a hair light behind her. So this is going to light her shoulders and the back of her hair to separate her from the background. And we're shooting at f11, and at the moment this is 16.4. So I'm going to drop this down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a whole stop. So just the hair light on its own. There we go, that's better. So it's giving a little separation here, nice shoulder light over here, and a little tiny bit there. So we've got a separation from the background. Okay, so let's see what that does. There, that's better. That's a standard beauty shot. Shot that most people would do quite regularly. Magazine type shot. It's great for hairstyles, it's great for makeup shots, and it's very flattering. It's flattering because the light, the main light, is coming down onto the face, which is showing the cheekbones and the shape. It's slimming as well, so if you've got someone who's got quite a chubby face, then it slims them down a bit. Okay, so that's the standard beauty setup, and I mean, if you want to, you can shoot that before I go on. Those of you who've been before, you know what I'm going to do. So we got 3 lights, but that's not enough for me. I want more than 3 lights. So a strip light can just add that third, fourth dimension, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to put these here. You're not claustrophobic, are you? And here. So what we end up with is a window that we shoot through. It's my favourite, because you have to buy 5 lights and 5 soft boxes. So that looks nice, doesn't it? Can we turn the lights off, Tom? There we go. Now, that's just 2 lights, look at that. Isn't that lovely? Just as it is, it's lovely. So you can use a strip softbox quite happily. So I've got those on the same power setting because I want them even. So I've no idea what the exposure is yet, but we'll find out. That's 22.2. So I'm going to take them down 2, and then another stop each, and we'll try another stop. So they're on F8. Yep, nice cheekbones. Let's try them all together, shall we? And then you can shoot it if you want. Wow. Isn't that nice? Okay, can you turn just a little bit that way, head this way, and just tilt it over slightly. Okay. Any questions?
What's the overall power now on her at the moment?
What, the exposure?
Just take a full reading.
It's 11.
It is 11.
Yeah. So can you put the lights on a bit? Do you want to get your cameras out? So you saw when I was, the first thing we were doing, where we put a light as a portrait light here, and then we had a reflector or another light here to fill some of the shadows at a lower power, and that's basic Rembrandt portrait. It's an idea that you might not have thought of. If you've only got one light and you haven't got a reflector, but you've got a nice strip softbox, and these are really useful, so, you know, don't discount them. You can do it with those, but it's even better with the long one. There's an idea that you can do. And putting softboxes on and off can be quite tricky, especially big ones. So the safest and simplest way is to put the light on the softbox, not the softbox on the light. Just like that. And you're not having to fiddle around trying not to knock the stand over, and being careful. So especially with big ones, that's what I'd recommend. Put it on the floor, put the light on the back of it, and then put it on the stand. Of course, all the softboxes rotate, which not really much help on an octagonal or a square, but it is with a rectangular or a strip. It's very useful to be able to rotate them. So again, using even a strip softbox close, then you're going to get soft light. Further away, it's going to get harder. But we can use that, and we can use the inverse square law idea to our advantage. Because say I wanted to do a portrait of lovely Courtney, I could, cable around the right way, still use the strip softbox. Let me put the lights off again, just so they can see. Can you find the reflector stand? I think it's in the big box, big case. Okay, so a strip softbox you can use for portraiture, no problem at all, and it can give a nice effect. It's quite controlled, so it's quite narrow, of course. The closer it is to your subject, obviously the wider it goes, but it comes back, and if you move it back, it becomes quite hard, but it spreads a little more, so it depends on how you want to use it. Although she does disappear into the background because we've got a black background. Okay, so standard portrait, triangle, just simple, nothing special, just boring portrait. How about if we do this? With a nice strip softbox, what we can do is be a bit creative So if we put it like that at an angle, what it's doing is we're lighting this side of Courtney's face with the softbox quite close. But over here, the light's a lot further away from Courtney. So this is going to be a fill because there's lot less light coming from it. So rather than having to have a reflector, we can just do a portrait with one light. We can do it with those as well, but it's not quite as effective. So you can, again, decide how far along you want it, how much fill you want by angling it that way. So it's quite clever way of working it. Very simple. Okay, so we got a bit of problem with underneath the chin because we got the light coming through, but we can always put a little reflector underneath, or we can move the light down a bit. But you can see what we're getting. We're getting Rembrandt lighting with one light. So we've still got this triangle that's coming across, and this is shaded and this is lit. So it's one light Rembrandt portrait. Come on then. So simple lighting at the front, not worried about that at all. It's what's going to happen on the back that's going to be interesting. You can do a lot with a photograph to change the look of it with just the backgrounds. And people often ask me about backgrounds when they buy lighting. And I say black-white is important. As you can see, white you can make black anytime anyway. And black is obviously black. White for white backgrounds, if you like them. Grey is great. And people look at me as if I'm daft. Grey backgrounds can be very versatile. So we can have them grey, we can have them black, we can, if we like them, we can have them white. You can actually light a grey background to make it white if you wanted to. But you can put colour on them, you can do all sorts of things. You can put patterns on them, you can do what you like because it's very versatile. So if we just wanted a plain grey background, as you can see, with no background light at all, then we get black. But if we put a light on it, it's better. Okay. If I put a light on it, I can make it any shade of grey that I want to, for a start, even up to white. So I've got my front light set up at f8. So if I want medium grey, like the colour it is, then I would have it set at f8, and that would be exposed correctly. Okay, so that's pretty much f8. Oh, wrong way. So if we expose the front and the back at the same time, whatever colour background you've got will reproduce at that colour. This is where people get a bit confused about white. If you put a white background behind her instead of grey and you expose it correctly, what colour do you reckon it would be? If you put a white background behind her and you expose the front and the background at the same colour, at the same exposure, what colour would the background be if it was white and it was exposed correctly? Exactly. If you expose anything correctly, it's the colour it is. Okay? So people get very confused about white. They think they have to put massive amounts of light on it. The difference is that if you want a pure white background, then you do have to overexpose it a bit, because otherwise it would be exposed correctly. So, like if you were wearing a white shirt, you'd see all the stitching and the buttons and the texture of the thing because it's exposed correctly. A background, if it's got little grubby marks on it or texture or anything, and you expose it correctly, you see all those. But if you want it pure white, then you'd have to overexpose it slightly. Maybe a stopover is all you need, just to whiten it up completely so it's slightly overexposed. Same with the grey. So at the moment, that's actually quite nice because it's got slight graduation on it. So it does look nice. But the middle bit behind her is exposed correctly, therefore it's showing the colour it actually is. Okay? So if I wanted to, I could turn the light up. And I've nearly got a white background, even though it's grey. Let's move over a bit. I think I've moved it. So you get a white background just by overexposing it like mad. So grey is very, very useful. So 3.1 on the power of the light, it was pretty much correctly exposed. If I go down a bit, it goes darker. There you go, cleared. That's better. So we can get a darker grey, mid-grey, light, whatever you want to do. But not only that, if we use something like one of these, which is called a honeycomb grid, and that allows light to pass through it, but not to go sideways, and this is a wide one, so it's got large holes, then we can control where the light goes. So we end up with a spotlight effect with soft edges. So if I light the bottom, we've got that soft graduated edge. There we go. So we can graduate the background as much as we want to with a soft edge. Or we can lift it up. And you get more of a graduation. Or we can change the colour of the background. And these are just gel filters. They're very cheap, very inexpensive, but they can make a lot of difference. And then if you tilt the head down so we can get that graduated effect. Obviously that's diluting the colour because it's shining on the back. But you can get some nice effects just with colour gels and things. So we're going to start off with the main light. Our main light is this one. And I reckon we should be shooting probably at 5.6. Something like that. Nice, very shallow depth of field to give a nice three-dimensional light. And that looks quite nice as it is. Yep, dead on, 5.6. Okay, so that's your exposure. Shutter speed, normal, 125th, up to 250th, no more. And f5.6 on the aperture, 100 ISO. So that's our base light. Okay, main light. Remember, we always start off with one light and then we build around it to do something a bit more interesting. So let's see what this gobo is going to do. Being old school, I like to measure stuff. So 5.6 is our shooting aperture. Oh, 5.6.1. Let's have a look and see what it does. All right, let's just do I might have to change my lens. Oh, that's right. So, I think we need to put a bit of light on the plant to lighten that up a bit. Now, obviously, if this is a real set, the light from the window is coming in from that side, so we really need to keep the lighting predominantly from this side, so it looks a bit more natural. But we want to have a little bit of glancing light on the plant. So let's pop a light in over here. So we'll control this backlight with a honeycomb grid, which stops the light spreading too much. And we can just glance it across the back of that light, that plant. Remember, natural light always comes from above. So we've got that window light coming through the window, catching the plant. And also lighting a bit the screen. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? Sunny day. Courtney, can you come and have a sit in here? You just perch on the edge. So, I think we need to backlight Courtney a little bit. Because we know her hair looks fantastic when it's got a bit of light on it. No idea what the exposure is, but we'll try it. Nice. Can you find the small white background? That's better. Just brought that side up a bit. That's nice. I like that. Okay, what's everyone think?
Yeah, we're getting the mood, yeah.
Look all right?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a go?
Yeah, we're here.
And then we can have a look at doing something different.
applause for Uncle Chris.
Yeah.